Good morning and welcome to the Pop Culture Podcast with Maddie Lenner. It's time for another episode, and this week we got some fun options for things that I watched. So, of course, you guys know I've been watching Heroes. I did actually make it all the way through and finished season 3, which means we get to talk about season 3. I can't remember what I last talked about for season 2, though, so that's just complicated in and of itself. I did finish The Simpsons, but I, don't really pay attention, so we're probably not really going to talk about that one too much. I watched After Everything because it was on Netflix, and I did want to finish up that series, so we're going to talk about that for a bit. Hercules is one of my favorite Disney movies, and I needed something on one day for just background noise after I finished season 3. I tried not to watch more Heroes because it gets to the point where there's so much going on I can't remember everything, which is why I don't know what I last left off of season 2, what we were talking about. I don't even remember what happened anymore. Like, there's so much going on. I watched this movie, Perfect Pairing, that was really cute on Netflix, and I finally watched Uptown Girls because I started it once upon a time on Prime and it was removed, and then I couldn't finish it, and then it was on HBO Max and I was able to finish it. And so we're going to talk about all of those on the episode today. So welcome back to the podcast, and I hope you guys are in for a treat today. I'm excited. Get your coffee, get your snack, whatever you want to do while we talk all about the TV shows. Now, I will attempt to timestamp this for you guys with where I started talking about whatever thing, but we shall see. So, first off the bat is Heroes. Now, Heroes has a lot going on in general. The previous season, it was kind of all about I'm trying to think. Season 2 was about like Nathan and Peter's dad, and so Sylar was revealed to be their brother. He's not actually their brother. That was just a guilt trip thing that they did. That's annoying. Um, Sylar killed their father because of course he's a bad man and he's taking everybody's power. So they think, oh, it's over, it's done. He's dead. There's nothing could possibly happen now in the world. Nope. Nathan Petrelli decided to be an absolute and total idiot in season 3. So we're starting off season 3 with Nathan Petrelli deciding he wants to capture all of these heroes, all these people with powers, and he wants to put them in a facility because they do not deserve to be in the world with people. Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird decision in general. I do get that he wasn't trying to kill them, and he is trying to like keep them just from hurting other people if they have that kind of power, but he also gave a free pass for Claire because Claire is his biological daughter, and so that was weird. Um, and then he ends up getting this team, and they want to kill these people. They are like, we're gonna kill, we're gonna attack, and so he does his best to keep them from doing so. But at some point, he can't do it anymore, and he can't keep everyone safe anymore. And eventually, they decide to go after Claire. So he goes to save Claire, and he flies her to Mexico, and he's now on the run as well. But there's many attempts that they do in order to get these heroes. There's one where they actually almost succeed, but Claire sneaks onto the plane and causes it to crash, and so they all kind of get away. And so they are all essentially on the run. And so all of these heroes are very much like on the run. They're all over the place. They're not all in one place, and there's a lot of different paths they go down. So Matt is with Daphne. Daphne is the Nemesis speedster person from the previous season, and he's kind of started a relationship with her based off of finding out from the future that they're going to end up together anyway. And so when she shows up trying to save them, she ends up getting shot. And so he's very upset and distraught by this, but she does manage to pull through that, but then dies again a second time because um, one of the guys kills her that's like after them or whatever. I can't remember his name, but he's very pivotal. Um, Peter was powerless last season, but he got his powers back. But he can now only mimic one power at a time, whereas before, once he stole someone's power, he had it forever and he could use it along with all the other powers. So he chooses which power he needs at the right given moment. Like he chose super strength from Suresh to break out of the plane barrier so he can get out of the plane, which he eventually then accidentally breaks the wall. And so he's kind of the reason why the plane broke down and flew down, but it's fine. Um, Tracy is someone who's working with Nathan and was doing everything in her power to get him to be senator, get and which he is obviously, and to get on top. But eventually, obviously, she feels betrayed by him because he decided to attack her, and so she's like the one person that ends up in captivity by Nathan. Because she does get away with from the plane accident, but then she ends up becoming bait um for Rebel, and Rebel turned out to be her Nikki's son, Micah, which I thought was pretty obvious. I figured it out as soon as they said um who it was or something, who he was, like something about it later on. I was like, oh, it's Micah, isn't it? It's the son. Of course it is, because he could do all the controlling with the technology and stuff. So that was fun. Um, what's another storyline from the season? There's so many things. I thought I wrote it down, but I don't see it, so I don't know. I'm trying to think, you guys. Hold on. So Claire is trying to be helpful a lot this season, and not only help the heroes, but help like other people. So she finds this guy who works at the comic book shop, and they're gonna come and get him and attack him or whatever. Like her dad is also in on this, and he's also trying to do this attacking and stuff. So she's trying to save these people, and she does save him. They manage to get him out of there before they show up and get him. And he was played by Justin Baldoni, which is really fun. I love a little cameo moment from from an actor who's now very much more famous than he was whenever he filmed the role. Really fun. I love watching shows and it's old shows and you see cameos, little guest star moments from actors that you know now from so many things. It's so interesting. Um, what else? Anyway, yeah, there's a lot going on. But mainly this previous season, season two, was about finding the cure, and of course it cured Suresh, and they destroy the cure. That was a big thing. I don't know if I talked about that. And so in destroying the cure, of course, Peter does take some, and that's how he gets his powers back, or he takes something and he gets his powers back. It's anyway. Um, Crazy season. Yeah, I don't remember what happened anymore. Hero loses his power. Okay, so Hero takes Claire back in time when he still has his power. And he has like the memory of a 10-year-old in the previous season, and so he ends up getting his power stolen by Nathan and Peter's dad. I forgot his name. And he ends up having to get saved by Ando, who took a thing to get powers. Like he has a syringe. She got to get some powers, which boosted Daphne's powers to get them back in time to get Hero to bring him back to the present. But while Hero is in that past, 16 years prior, he gets healed by his mother and he gets the catalyst. And so that's why the father comes to get Hero and knocks him off and takes his powers, because he's taking the catalyst as well. Because the catalyst is the most pivotal part to this recipe for the cure. So it's a very big, important thing. So, but then they destroy the cure, so it doesn't matter. And so that's why Peter tries to capture the heroes. Well, if we can't make more to do what we want them to do, then I guess we should just put them all away. So yeah, I don't really remember everything that happened last season. There's so much going on. I'll try to update you guys more often on what's going on. So let's move on. Just real quick, The Simpsons. I don't really remember what happened, but I think there was an episode where Homer caused an accident of some sort, and so he starts being like the good husband he not isn't normally, because he wants to make up for it or something, I guess. I don't remember. Um, but that's about all I remember. I have no memory of these Simpsons episodes because, like I said, I'm not paying attention. I only watched like three. I was only had three left, so I just wanted to get them out of the way. All right, on to the movies. After everything. Every time I watch these movies, I wonder why I even bother. But then also, if I don't watch the movie, I'm like, well, how does it end? I should have known how it ended. So the first thing I want to say about After Everything. I saw the press tour only had him on the press tour, and so I was a little confused by that because normally they both go on the press tour. But then after actually finally watching the movie, it turns out that she's only in 30 minutes of it. So that's why she's not on the press tour. It's because she's not really in it. And so that kind of made more sense. But this movie is very interesting. So I don't know why it's called like After Everything, because it's really should be before, because it's more about the before Tessa than it is about the after Tessa. So basically, we meet this woman when he travels to some other country. I can't remember right now what country it is. But he travels there because she's been there the whole time or whatever, and he wants to make amends with her because he really wronged her in the past. And it turns out in his past and her past, they filmed a sex tape, and that was a part of a bet, and his friends sent it out to everybody. And it, of course, embarrassed her and ruined her life for a while there. So, um, that was a very big deal, and that was something that led to um, a path, a dark path for him, I guess. So he did that. That happened, and um, so he wanted to apologize and make it up to her, and he does. And so he decides to do everything the right way this time around with her. Is he writes a book about it because he needs to get a book to his publisher, and he writes a book, and he's like, I want you to read it first before I send it off, because he didn't do that with Tessa. He wrote an entire book about their relationship, and he didn't make sure she was okay with it and ask for her permission, etc., etc. So he's trying to do it the right way this time because he's trying to amend for who he was and not be that person again, so he can be better for Tessa, because he can't imagine life without Tessa. Tessa is going to be in his life no matter what, even if she doesn't want to be, like, in his mind somewhere deep inside of him. He's a part of her life and she's a part of his. Um, and so the whole movie is basically him in this country with her and living the life there and trying to be better and writing the book. And so eventually he gets a call from his brother, and his brother's getting married. So he goes back home to his brother's wedding. And before he goes, though, he buys this house for the girl that he wronged in the before timeline. I think her name was like Natalie or something. I don't even remember, y'all. Don't ask me what her name was. And it was a house that she said at some time in their time together in this country that she wished she had. So he bought it for her as a present or something. And so, of course, she was happy about that, I'm sure. And anyway, we cut to the wedding. His brother's getting married. I think they finally kept the same actor for the brother, because I swear they changed the actor in every movie, but I think they changed a different actor. I think they changed his biological father actor, but I don't even know. They changed the actors in all these movies, and it really gets on my nerves because, like, why can't you keep one actor for all of these movies? Like, you film every year. Come on. Um, so yeah. And so this is where we finally get Tessa again. Now, we've had scenes throughout the movie with Tessa that are flashbacks, that are memories from Hardin's point of view, but they're from the previous movies. They're previously used footage. They're not new footage for most of them. I think there might have been one or two that was new. So we don't get any real, like, Tessa, like, in-person moments until this wedding, because of course she's the maid of honor and he's the best man. So of course this is how they interact again. Well, he's found out that she's um in a relationship or something. I don't know what the deal is with that. But so he keeps seeing her talk to this guy, and the guy was in the previous movie that they kind of met in New York or whatever. And so he assumes it's him, and they're like, it's not him. It's not him. They're just friends. And so I guess eventually he decides to talk to her. So he goes and they talk, and he tells her, like, it's you no matter what for me. Like, you're the one for me. I can't be without you, and I'm sorry. And he apologizes and he does all this stuff. And she's like, it's okay. I've come to terms with it. By the way, they haven't seen each other in 2 years. The movie doesn't tell us that until this point. But yeah, they haven't seen each other in 2 years, so this is very pivotal for her to be doing all of this. So the last 30 minutes of the movie, he apologizes and he's like, I'm sorry I didn't tell you about writing the book. I'm sorry about all of this, but I want you. And she decides she wants him to. And so they get together, of course, they make out, they have sex, and then we cut to like a year or so, so many years later, I don't know, they don't even tell us. and they have a kid, and she's pregnant with another one, and I'm sitting here wondering how she's even capable of having a kid, because the plot from a previous movie was that she can't have kids. So that makes no sense. But yeah, these movies are so weird to me. I do not understand why they made so many of them. I do not understand why I watch them every time when I know that they're just going to be blah kind of movies. It's almost worse than watching a Hallmark movie sometimes. The only one of these movies I like is After We Collided, the second one, and I think that's why I watch the other ones, because the first one was okay and the second one was actually pretty good, and then they just kind of went downhill after that. Um, I like the second one because they have funny line moments that were TikTok audios, like the one where he goes, "Effing Trevor," is so funny. That's like the funniest scene ever for no reason. And then also the scene where she calls out Molly at the party, which is also an audio on TikTok. So those are really fun. Anyway, Hercules. So Hercules is one of my favorite movies. So I've seen it before. Hold on, y'all, I need a water break. So we don't need to go into too much detail with this one, but basically, Hercules is like one of my favorite Disney movies, like ever. Um, of course, it's based off of the gods. So he is taken by Hades' little like side guys. I don't really know what they're called. I forgot their names too. They have names, but I forgot what they are. This is one of my favorite movies, and I don't even know their names. Isn't that funny? If you put a quiz in front of me though and asked me what their names were, I could tell you from like multiple choice, but I can't tell you off my brain. That's just the way I am. I've always done better with multiple choice. But so he gets taken by them, and so Hades is trying to, I guess, stop Hercules from growing up and becoming a god. So he decides to take away his power so he can kill him. And he tells the two little whatever they are to kill him, but he doesn't drink the last drop, and so he's still part god, even though it's taken away most of his strength. And so and then they don't kill him, and they don't tell Hades about it, because why does Hades need to know? He's off in the mortal world with the regular mortals, so everything's fine. So he grows up, and of course, they have this great power ballad here, Go the Distance, when he's getting older. And he's like, I will find my way, I will go the distance. And I think this is A, one of the best character songs ever, just for this character, but B, one of the best songs ever in life, because it's a very relatable song to people in life. Is like, I will find my way, I will go the distance, I will go however far I need to go to find where I belong. It's very much about finding out who you are and being yourself and being true to yourself. And I think it's just a wonderful song. I don't know who wrote the soundtrack for this movie, but they did fantastic. It's one of the best things about this movie. Um, so he eventually figures out that he can build his strength with the help of, y'all, I can't remember the names of any of these characters. Hold on a second. What's his name? Give me a name here. Phil. With the help of Phil, who's voiced by Danny DeVito. I love that. Danny DeVito, I love your work. Y'all, I can quote Mean Girls at any given opportunity. Do not test me on that. I can do it. I swear it. So yeah, Phil is like a god guy. He can help gods, and so he helps Hercules build up his strength. Then he goes from zero to hero, and that's a great song as well. And in the process of all of this, he meets Meg. Well, Meg is actually working for Hades, and he doesn't know that though. And so Meg is used as a way to get to Hercules so that he can break Hercules down again and take away his strength. And he does, of course, succeed for a brief minute until Hades' deal is broken when Meg decides to save Hercules and she dies. So he offers his life for hers to save her, because she's more important than he is in his mind. It's about her. She's the love of his life. So he jumps in to save her. And of course, the thing about jumping in the river where Hades is like souls are kept is you will die in the process on your way to her. But he's a god, so he doesn't die, and he makes it to her, and he gets her soul, and he takes it out, and they can't kill him. When they try to cut his thread, he can't die. He doesn't die because he's a god, and he's now reached his god status because he put another's life before his own, and that was the whole thing that he had to do this entire time to become the god that he needed to be. But when he finally got up there and he got to um wherever this place is in the clouds where the gods live. I'm sorry, y'all. I know nothing. I don't know how I know nothing when I know this movie so well because I love it so much, but I guess I need to see it more. Um, he when he finally gets up there and she's walking away, he sees that and he realizes that he doesn't want to be a god if he can't be with her, and he would rather be with her than be a god. And so he gives up his godly power in order to live out a mortal life with Meg. And of course, that's going to happen. It's a Disney movie. It's going to have a happy ending. But Hercules is one of my favorite movies. It's one of the best soundtracks. The part where she realizes she's in love and she sings "I Won't Say I'm in Love" is amazing. It's one of the best songs ever. And if I could sing like that, I would sing it every day because it's one of my favorite songs. And it definitely has, I think whoever wrote this movie is just very on brand and keen on life or something. Like they know everything about life because the song choices aren't just perfect for these characters, but also are very relatable and can be used in normal life situations. Um, like Zero to Hero, it could be like you know, your transformation if you decided to start working out, like you went from zero to hero. It didn't happen like overnight, like it did for Hercules, but it happened. Um, I won't say I'm in love is when you realize you're in love with somebody you didn't expect to be. Or go to distance. I'm trying to find my way. I'm trying to find my path, my passion, my whatever. Like everything is very relatable. It's very fun. I love the soundtrack. This is the best soundtrack. Anyway, moving on. A perfect pairing. Now, I don't normally watch cheesy rom coms on Netflix, but it was hard for me to find a movie in general because I was watching this movie with my mom. And watching a movie with my mom on Netflix is hard because my mom actually literally watches like every single thing on Netflix. And so it's hard to find a movie she hasn't seen. So we finally found one she hadn't seen. So I was like, okay, well, I like Victoria Justice. Let's give it a shot. So let's get into it. So first things first, um, Victoria Justice is great in this role, and I am happy she's back in the acting, um, and everything's all fine and dandy. So Victoria Justice plays this character, y'all. I don't remember names today. Her name is Lola, and she works for this company doing something with wines. And so she's trying to get this Vaughn family wines to the company, and she knows about it. But she tells one of her coworkers, her work wife, if you will, and the work wife, of course, decides to go and pitch it to their boss because she was in a tough spot and she needed to do something, or she was probably going to be fired, or she was going to be in a bad whatever. So she takes the idea, and Lola gets upset with this, and she decides to quit and go on her own. And that ended up being a good decision, but in the moment, it was definitely a crazy one. And so it's like, well, what is she going to do? Well, she decided to start her own company. And in doing that, she decided she would just go get Vaughn Family Wines first. But when she went to go get Vaughn Family Wines, it was very clear early on that she was not going to get this offer because she's a startup company, brand new to the game. And, you know, the person running it, of course, what's her name? Hazel Vaughn is not going to just sign on to a new company, and she's not going to just do that. But then they find out they need another hand around the farm, and Lola's like, I'll do it. So Lola doesn't get to stay in the cottage she rented for the weekend because she came for the weekend just to convince Hazel Vaughn to join work for her, work with her, not for her, work with her. She's going to partner and be the trader or whatever for the wines. I don't remember what it's called. So she ends up working on this ranch as a hand, and along the way, she's working with this guy who's basically like the one over everybody on this ranch, Max. Well, Max turns out to be Max Vaughn. He's Hazel's brother, and he is probably more a part of this company and does more for this company than anyone. He's the reason why this company even exists, because he bought the stocks and whatever for Hazel, and Hazel's just been doing all the running. And so he doesn't do any of the running of it, though, because he doesn't want his life out there. He doesn't want to deal with all the stuff that she has to deal with. He lets her deal with it while he does everything on the farm and he does everything else. And so over his time with Lola, of course, he just starts to fall for her. And so by the time he tells her all of this, it's much too late, because she didn't care about his last name, about who he truly was. She just cared about him, and he kind of ruined it all by being somebody who could have helped her the entire time. And so his sister, of course, several times throughout the movie tries to get him to step up and do the business aspect, but he doesn't do it. So in the end, Lola leaves and goes home, and she doesn't get the deal with the Vaughn family wines. And we jump to so long after. I think it's like a few months. I don't even know. And he shows up and offers to partner with her company from Vaughn Family Wines, and he is now doing the business aspect of the job. And of course, it was cute. It was fun. It's a little rom-com, you guys. It's really cute. You should watch it on Netflix if you haven't. Sorry for spoiling it for you, because that Max part was kind of a surprise. Like, there was a point in the movie where we find out, and it's like, oh, that's what's going on there. So it's fun. And I like this movie. It was really cute. All right, finally we got Uptown Girls. She been living in a uptown world. If you don't think of Uptown Girl by Billy Joel when you hear the word Uptown Girl, I don't know what you're doing with life. Anyway, so Uptown Girls follows the story of Brittany Murphy's character. Y'all, I can't remember anybody's names. Ray. No, Molly. So Brittany Murphy's character's name is Molly, and she's basically a spoiled princess. And she has an absurd amount of money that she spends on whatever she wants. She's, hangs out, goes out with all these guys, and they buy her all kinds of gifts. And she lives in this apartment, and she's got everything handled and taken care of for her, essentially. And her parents have died, so it's basically like, I guess, all of her parents' money. Well, her guy who handled her finances, Bob, turned out to have several clients as well as her, and he stole their money and hijacked it and went off. And so she was out of money. And so now that she's out of money, well, she has to go get a job. So she ends up working at Henry Bendel for a minute there, but that doesn't work out. And then she gets a job from her friend Huey, working for his boss's daughter, basically being the nanny for his boss, who's very, very uninvolved in the life of her daughter. And so Brittany Murphy, Molly, becomes the nanny. Well, this is an interesting experience because these characters have already met. The little girl's name is Ray, and they met at her birthday party, Molly's birthday party at the beginning of the movie. And of course, this little girl is a very mature 8-year-old, way more mature than Molly, more mature than any 8-year-old should ever be, and very uptight, very like she brings her own soap, you guys. Like, she's very, very particular. Um, like Molly, at one point, they were playing with the tea set or whatever. She sits down to play with the tea set, and she tries to take a bite out of the scone, which turned out to be plastic. You should have seen this girl come out with the antibacterial spray all over it. It was so funny. I was like, this girl is more uptight than Monica Geller, I think, about cleanness. Because, like, the first time Molly walks into her room is like a completely organized, perfect masterpiece, if you will. Like, it is so perfect beyond belief. Um, but yeah, it's really cute because throughout the movie, though, Molly teaches Ray how to let go, let loose, and have fun, and Ray teaches Molly how to be a little bit more mature and be a better person and be herself. And she ends up, of course, being let go after Ray's father dies. Ray's father's in a coma, basically, like the whole movie. Um, and she gets let go, and so Molly's like, you don't even know your daughter that well. Like, do you even know this? Do you know this? Do you know this? It's a wonderful scene. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movies when Molly calls out the mom. And I love when they have scenes like that in nanny movies. They had one in the Nanny Diaries as well with Scarlett Johansson. Because it's true. Like you hired all these nannies. You don't know anything about your kid. You're too busy off with rock stars and having fun with these musicians and stuff that you don't even take a minute with your kid. So I guess at that point, the mom decides to start kind of taking over more. I don't know. Well, one of the musicians the mom was starting to work with was what's his name? Neil. And Neil was like this guitarist that played at Molly's birthday party that Molly kind of hung out with for a while there. They got like caught up in her room for days before she found out about the money situation. Um, which actually it was her friend who found out about it because her Roma, her friend, is the like, basically the one that controls her entire life. Um, because Molly's incapable of doing anything like at all. Like she takes absolutely no control over her life. So she lives with Roma for a while at first, and then she ends up kicked out and living with Huey because Roma's a bit uptight in particular. So anyway, um, but yeah, she ends up working with this musician, and at some point in the movie, Molly has had this jacket the entire time that belonged to him, and she decides to fix it because I guess she ruined it somehow and give it back to him, and she fixes it all up pretty and nice and fun, and he's like, "What did you do? You ruined my jacket!" And then he ends up wearing it in a music video that's inspired by her, I guess. And so that goes really big. And she ends up getting asked later on in the movie, but from all these people about like, can you do this? Can you do this? Like to design for them. It turns out her thing that she was good at the entire time was fashion. She's very good at fashion, so she decides in the end to go to fashion school. And then while she's at the interview, she sees realizes what time it is, and she has to go to Ray's recital. And when we get to Ray's recital, Neil comes out to perform the song, which is one of her father's songs, Molly's father's songs, that was about Molly and playing on the guitar because she auctioned off all of her parents' stuff finally and made lots of money off of it. I guess she used that money to go to fashion school or something. I don't remember the details of that, or just to pay for her life because she did get an apartment and stuff. Um, and so she finds out in the end that Neil's the one that bought all of the guitars. And so all the little girls are coming out from the dancing school in the recital, like with these guitars, they're doing a dance. And then Ray comes out and dances just like Molly did in the beginning and earlier in the film. And it's just so cute. It's one of the cutest scenes. This is one of the cutest movies I've ever seen. It's on Max if you guys have it. It's a great find to watch. You can also, of course, I'm sure, rent the movie if you don't have Max for like $3.99, but it is on Max if you can get it. And it's really cute and really fun, and one of the best movies I watched this week, and probably one of the best I watched this year. But seeing as it is the 29th, we are almost at the end of this month. So next episode will not only be next month, but we'll be starting a new month finally, because I feel like this month has been 4 years long. Um, so I'm really excited, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this episode, and I hope you enjoy all of my fun pop culture moments throughout the week of things that I've posted on my social. I did some reactions to some Mean Girls songs, and then I kind of stopped because I thought it would be more fun to just do one or two and kind of go from there. There are more reactions I want to do, but um, I kind of already listened to some of the Broadway versions without remembering to react to them first, so it's going to be a little difficult. So I might try to find a recorded video performance so I can see the characters and stuff. Might be more fun. But yeah, let's give me something to talk about, please. On my TikTok or on my YouTube, I can do all kinds of different things to help you guys out. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Of course, we'll talk about the final season of Heroes and all kinds of fun stuff. But ooh, before we go, I did finish the book I was reading, As Good as Dead, as I updated on my Goodreads. And it was a very good book. I don't want to spoil it because we are getting a TV show of this book series, and I don't want to be too crazy with spoilers. So if you don't want a spoiler for that book and you're reading the series, stop listening and just goodbye. I'm sorry. If you made it this far. That was crazy. So she gets is basically ends up being the victim of the DT killer that she was investigating. And it turns out to be Jason Bell. So the first case she solved was Andy Bell's murder or death or disappearance or whatever. And so it turns out that her father was the DT killer, and he was a killer of some other sort too, like years before. And so she gets captured and whatever by him, and she manages to break free. And in her process of running free, she could just run free and run away and run off, but she decides no, she has to kill him because nobody will believe that he's the DT killer because she doesn't have any proof. And so she kills him. Oh my God, you guys, she kills him. And then she calls Ravi and she doesn't know what to do. And they're like, well, how are we going to get away with this? Like, we can't just bury the body. Like, we're not going to get away with it. And so she comes up with a plan to cool his body down and then reheat it so that it makes the time of death later. And they decide to go make alibis for themselves so that they are not convicted of murder. And they decide to plant the murder on Max Hastings because she's already in this trial with him anyway because he got away with being a rapist in court at the end of the last book or whatever, or maybe the beginning of this one. I don't remember. And she posted something about how he's a rapist on her podcast because she was upset about it, and he wants her to apologize and to take it back, and she doesn't want to do that. So she gets a case. They set up a case because they're going to sue her for, I guess, hurting him or whatever, like hurting his feelings. So she decides to put it all on Max, and of course, in the end, I'm pretty positive that it went the right way and that Max was framed and not framed, but like convicted of the murder of Jason Bell because she got that text at the end, hey Sarge, remember me? And that's what Ravi called her. And she told Ravi to not talk to her until after the trial because she didn't want any ties to her in case they figured out it wasn't Max, because she knew she would be the person they pointed the blame toward because her headphones were found in Jason Bell's house because that was going to be his trophy from her because he was the DT killer. And so they did find out though that he was the DT killer, and they let out the guy who'd been in jail all those years for it. And so she solved that case and she fixed everything for them, and she went off to college and she kind of stopped talking to everybody until the trial for Max because she wanted to make sure that he got convicted and she was really free before she hung out with her friends just in case. They weren't tied down with her and put into any blame with her because they all helped her in some way or another in that night that she murdered Jason Bell to save her reputation. So yeah, very fun book, very good. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And the next book I'm gonna read is First Lie Wins. I got it in the book of the month box this month of January, and so yeah, I'm just now reading January's, and I haven't even ordered February's yet. But this book apparently is good from the first line, so I might read it a little bit more and better more often. We shall see. My mom's probably gonna read it when I'm done. So yeah. Thanks for listening to the podcast. This was a really fun episode to record, and this is really long, so I'm sorry, but I'm not doing timestamps for you guys. Have a great day.